Hello, and welcome to the topic 5.1 introduction video. Coming to you today from my office here at PLU instead of my normal home office. So hopefully the technology works the way it's supposed to. And so let's get started. All right. So we are talking this week. We are now into the purple ring here, the second to last ring in the class. And we're going to be talking about the assets that you own, you will invest in after you've raised capital. So remember, up to this point, in the blue circle, we covered raising capital both through issuing of securities or from borrowing. And prior to that, we talked about the contracts you might enter into and the business entities you will form and all of that. So far, everything we've done is just getting the company set up. Now we're looking at actually investing in the assets that we're going to use to make money. There's a couple of different kinds of assets that we concern ourselves with, a couple of different categories of them. So we're going to be talking about tangible property. That's in this topic. And then in the next topic, in 5.2, we'll talk about intellectual property as a separate kind of property. But so now we're talking about things that are tangible, things that you can actually hold, touch, and feel. That's what we mean by tangible. Okay, so let's talk just briefly here about the 4 R's. I'll move this up here a little bit. Okay. First off, we're talking about rules. Lots of rules about who can own what the owner of a given piece of property can do with that property. All of those rules come from the material we'll be talking about this time. And then, of course, when we talk about assets, you'll notice here, it's even in the 4 R's. This is really the big area where we're talking about the second R, which is the rights that the owner of an asset has. It's these rights that make companies profitable. It's these rights that allow companies to earn income. So this is incredibly important material now into the success of a firm. Okay, and then as usual, every transaction involves a relationship. And here, where the relationship that we're talking about is the relationship between the owner of an asset and those whom the owner wants to extract revenue, so customers. So we'll be talking a lot here about the relationship between an owner of an asset and the customers that owner has. And then, of course, we have significant risks associated with the ownership of assets. We'll be talking about those risks, and then we will also be talking in this particular topic about how to protect against some of that risk that's what insurance does. So insurance plays a major role in protecting the risks associated with owning assets. Okay, now, as you'll notice here, we have an extra learning objective. Usually have 3, but I needed to fit 4 in just with the way that the material works. So this is a little bit heavier of a topic than other weeks, but it's incredibly important because we're going to start off first by just defining what we mean by the term property. What does it mean to actually own something? And then we're going to look at the first category of property that we're going to cover, and that's personal property. So this is pretty much everything that's not land for the most part, not land and really not intellectual property either. So these are things, any sort of movable object is an element of personal property. And so there's a set of rules that are involved there. And then bailments are the rules that are involved in when other people hold property for you. Think agency. Remember the term agency because that's what that is. And then we're going to consider real property. That's land, buildings, everything on the land and in the building. And we'll look at the ownership of that as well as landlord-tenant. So probably most of you have been in a landlord-tenant arrangement at some point, and we'll dive into that a little bit. And then as I already mentioned, we'll be talking about insurance. Insurance is a contract for the exchange of risk between an insurance company who takes on the risk in exchange for a premium. So we'll look at how that functions and how that works. It's an incredibly important part of running a business because you can't completely eliminate risk, but you can manage risk and then you can insure against risk, the two major ways that a company can deal with risk. Okay, so that's it. That's what we're going to be talking about, and I hope that was helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the first learning objective video. Thanks a lot.